What's up, guys? Kyokai1994 here today to talk about anything, you guessed it, Dragon Ball, from Ball to Z and everything in between. And again, I am here today to talk to you guys about side stories that I want to see come out of the Dragon Ball room, revolving around my favorite series, the Dragon Ball franchise. And at the pace that I'm making these videos, it seems that I personally am working harder than the Dragon Ball room is, but we're not going to mention that. And today, I do also want to bring somebody back to the channel, a very good friend of mine who loves Dragon Ball Super and can pull any girl in the world except the one that he wants, Cauliflo. Rakurai Network, what's up, man? Great to have you back on the channel as always. If you want to say a few words to the viewers after you're done dying.
Okay, for everyone that's watching this and doesn't understand why I'm laughing so hard, I didn't see that coming at all. But I'm good. I'm good. Still no cauliflower, as you said, but my agility team is still rocking 315k HP, so I'm good. But thank you for having me once again, man.
No, bro, you're always welcome. You know you are. But it's always great to have you back on the channel. You know, trying to help me hash out these side stories, try to get them a little bit more depth. And I always love bringing people on to talk about these because I don't feel that people really want to just listen to me rant by myself for like 20 minutes about what I want to see come from the series. I feel like they like to see two people sit here and talk for 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is and hash out everything. But today, if you didn't see the thumbnail, if you didn't see the title, if you didn't see anything, today we will be talking about the Earthling, who has a very, very strong 6th chakra point and has a very hard time, I feel, fully enjoying a 3D movie. So that would be Tien Shinhan or Tien. So, Rakurai, are you excited to be talking about Tien today?
Yes. Tien's one of those characters that I've always sort of had a weird relationship with, in the fact that, you know, he's not one of my favorites, but he's still interesting to talk about because there's a lot to him, I think.
Yeah, I also agree. I kind of, at the beginning of these, always say, like, my favorite character or one of my favorite characters, and it's not so much that I love seeing Tien in things. I just see so much potential on his story. He's in and out of the series so often, and there's so many little time skips that we have with him where, like I said, we don't see him and anything can happen. That is the best part about these side stories, is when you don't create retcons. Whenever you don't mess up the original story, but you add another layer, some more depth into one of these stories. And I feel Tien is one of those that you can actually go straight into and create a bunch of content without causing problems. It's kind of like Master Roshi. I did another video with Master Roshi that I'll leave somewhere on the screen or in the description. But it's kind of like that. It's one of those characters that we've all seen. We all know what he can do. But there's something mysterious about their past, or something that we would like to see out of their past. And personally, just like in the Master Roshi story that I talked about, I really want to see his humble beginnings. I really want to see him training under Master Shin at the Crane School and idolizing assassins and idolizing all of these people who turn out to later be very, very dark characters, if not evil. I mean, Shin had a lot of evil motives, and they had a whole movie about him, you know, overthrowing Chaozu, who was the emperor, and things along that whenever they were coming out with Dragon Ball in the late 80s. But I really want to see his beginnings. I want to see, like, how he got into the school. I want to see his interaction with the people at the school. I want to see what he does and what made him the person he is, because we see him at the tournament. That's the first that we see him. So, and we also see him as an evil character originally, and then Muten Roshi is actually the one who, you know,
converts him, basically
brings him to the lighter side. So I would like to see what put him into that motive, what put him into that mindset. And I really want to see him learn all of his moves. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that completely. And one thing that I was thinking about when you said Master Shen's training, I'm really interested in it. I know this may be a bit inaccurate because I haven't watched the original series in quite a long time. I need to do that. But one thing that I always thought was interesting was the fact that he had to, I believe he lost his myriad powers from his third eye something about purifying him, I believe. And I would love to see sort of a little tie-in into that where it's concerning maybe an internal struggle with that, maybe something along those lines. Because I just love seeing internal conflicts within characters. So I think something along those lines with Tien would just be interesting. It would make me a lot more involved with Tien's character, seeing another side of him in that light, seeing him struggle with something.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely get to see him struggle with wanting to be good or evil in that. Well, no, I won't say good or evil. Evil is a very, very harsh word to use because evil is a perception on other things. Because, like in Dragon Ball Super, Zamasu doesn't believe that he's evil. He believes that he is the purest of all beings in the world. So, I mean, I want to see, like what you were saying, that internal struggle of good and evil balanced, of karma, of chakra, and learning to, sort out what is appropriate for your life. Because if he would have never made that decision and never hung out with Goku and trained with Kami, Sinin, and everybody else, maybe he wouldn't even be the fighter that he is today. I mean, he is one of the top warriors of Earth. I mean, so what if he never made it to that? And that's not one of the side stories that I want to go off of, but just there is so much that, and I guess that's every decision, but there's so much that happened because of the decisions that he actually made that turned him into the man that he is now and continues to be until we see the ending of his story, if we ever do see the ending of his story.
Yeah, I agree with that. He is one of those characters where you can tell that he's gone through that internal thing of struggling with the people that he idolized. Those being under Master Shen and idolizing all of them and such. Where you can tell he has this connection, and I suppose like he's enthralled in trying to figure out more about them and learning how he can become like them, and then just seeing that shift into him becoming, a quote-unquote Z fighter, and, like, as you said, being one of the top fighters for Universe 7, in terms of humans especially, being one of the top humans, but, being chosen as one of the fighters for the Tournament of Power. It's just a nice little thing that happened there concerning his character that I would love to see more explication on, really.
I mean, we would get to see, a very powerful message in this as well, because I don't think people, a lot of questions that come from Dragon Ball Z in particular can be answered if people just watched or read, which I suggest more, the original series, the original Dragon Ball franchise. If they would have actually read that, they wouldn't have all of these questions that, make people debate all of these topics. Now, if everybody read the series, maybe we wouldn't have something to talk about, and then it would be the death of our two channels, but that again is another video topic. But when he was at the Crane School, he had the aspirations of being an assassin. He was working to be an assassin. I mean, Tao Pai Pai has no remorse for any life that he takes that I see from the series. I don't know if anybody else has seen something like that, but the only time I ever see him really panic is when the grenade's thrown up at him. Whenever Goku kicks the grenade back at him, and he ultimately, turns into Mecha Tao Pai Pai later on. But that's the only little bit of shock that I really see. I mean, he takes Goku out pretty quick.
Yeah.
He kills Upa's father with no hesitation. Here's your spear back. Bam. Oh, one of the saddest deaths to me inside the series because of somebody so pure. But I want to see that drive, because we don't know who he was beforehand, like why I'm even talking about these, stories. But we don't know how he is before. He could have been very good when he was a child and has morphed into this being that's like, being an assassin doesn't sound that bad. It's good pay. Make very good money taking people out, losing his empathy for other people and other people's situations, and just remorse for other living beings. I mean, if you watch him when they're introduced inside the tournament, he is he doesn't care. I believe, and I haven't watched that tournament in a while. I do want to say he breaks somebody's arm, and I'm not talking about Yamcha's.
Yeah.
But I want to say he broke somebody's arm in the qualifiers and just didn't care. And kind of with Chaozu, I mean, they used the mind technique and everything. They just wanted to win. It was a winning thing. But to go out of the sad and into the light and into the happiness, I really, really want to see a fan-fiction-y kind of story. And I'm not one for fan fiction. I'm not always for lovey-dovey. And I know I've mentioned a few different ones in the series. But we see one character that is so infatuated with Tien and so hypnotized with how much she cares about him from not the years, but how much she cares about him from the actual time of being with him, that I would love to see the forgotten character Launch have her happy ending. I would love to see her and Tien live somewhere out in the woods, preferably by a waterfall, since Tien really does like meditating by waterfalls, just like Piccolo. I would really like to see their love story, and I know that that's not something that's been shown in Z. It's obviously not talked about, and most likely is not even ever going to happen, but I would like to see them do their thing. I mean, we've seen that purple-haired Launch is a cooker, a cleaner, a very, I guess, 50s-esque woman stereotype.
Yeah.
But we'll see that she takes care of Tien. She's always worried about his well-being. So it would be interesting to see these weird little clashes of like, oh, honey, here's what I made for dinner. Have fun training. I hope that you feel better. And then, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen because when she sneezes, man, it flips right on a dime. And just because he's out there fighting doesn't mean that she can't come help. I mean, as purple-haired Launch, she's probably not going to help. But as blonde-haired Launch, man, she's going to be taking out some people, man.
Right.
I mean, she knows her way around a machine pistol.
I'd be scared of Launch, bro. Yellow-haired Launch, I would be terrified.
She'd make a lunch out of anybody.
Bro.
I like those little puns. I always feel like I do them in other people's videos.
I love puns.
I always feel like I make those little jokes and then people just like, step over them and they're like, either they didn't get it or they didn't hear me or something like that. But I always love those little Dragon Ball puns that I do. But it would be really interesting, again, to see something like that. I mean, you can go, and it doesn't have to be a lovey-dovey story. There could just be chapters of lovey-dovey, and it doesn't have to be a full gag manga, but the effect of being able to switch a character's personality literally at the flip of a switch is fantastic. I mean, that's such a great plot for a character that, I mean, she can do whatever she wants. She's also not 100% unknowing of what her other character does. I mean, she may not be in the forefront light of, like, consciousness, but she knows, because there are times in the series where she's like, did I do this? Oh yeah, I figured that would be something I would do whenever I go crazy. And she just plays it off, and you can have a really gag-style manga. Dragon Ball Z itself had gags in it, had puns, but it's not the same as what Dragon Ball was. There are plenty of examples that I don't need to just rattle off, but there are plenty of examples of just gaggy style things that happen in Dragon Ball because of when it took place in Toriyama's life and what he was doing and the style of writing that he was doing. But when he morphed into Dragon Ball Z, it takes a little bit more of a serious tone to it. So,
yeah.
In Dragon Ball Super, especially you, somebody who loves Dragon Ball Super, and you may also notice this, Dragon Ball Super is in a more kid-friendly time range now.
Yeah.
When it comes on in Japan, it is a Sunday morning cartoon. That is what it is. And they had to take out some of the blood. They actually don't take out that much of the language. The language is not that much different than what it was in Z, but Z had a more primetime spot and was actually able to show and do a little bit more, especially with how, I don't know how the Japanese FCC works or anything like that, but ours is pretty harsh on cartoons nowadays. I mean, you had the Looney Tunes and things like that were doing very provocative things for their time. And, I mean, I don't mean it like South Park, but they are child's cartoons that are on Sunday morning, Saturday morning.
They got away with so much.
A lot of stuff. And, I mean, some of it is the time period and how things were focused. But if you just go back and watch it for even language, it's just so much more... I don't want to say provocative again, but it's so much more adult than what we would have in cartoons nowadays, I feel. I mean, there's always adult jokes, but it's the tone of situations. So,
yeah,
having a very gag-style launch and Tien love affair, because you know Chaozu's probably going to live with them as well, and, I mean, we could have a lot of things come from that could be very entertaining. I don't know if you have any more things that you want to add for that story.
Well, I would say this. I've always been I've never really been a sucker for love stories, but at the same time, for some reason, I'm down with them in Dragon Ball, because it you know, Toriyama even said he's not someone who writes romance, but it's interesting when he takes that attempt. Like, you know, seeing the Trunks and Mai interactions, you can tell there was an attempt there that isn't really taken a whole lot. It normally is just that, oh, you know, we can assume that at some point while Vegeta was training that he just smashed. We don't know exactly what happened beforehand. But with Tien, I think what's so interesting about Tien and Launch's relationship, I would love to see either that love story thing or also seeing how it was eventually what actually happened when Launch ran looking for Tien, and what happened there. Like, did they end up parting ways? Was there an argument that broke out that just made things really bad? Did she go blonde haired and just go absolutely freaking insane? Like, there's a lot there that I think is interesting with Tien and Launch, that because, you know, Launch had that sort of like Amy Rose level of infatuation, you know, like Amy with Sonic. It was the same thing for Launch and Tien. So it's just, I'm very interested to see, you know, if there was a point where their relationship grew, or if they want to use this as a cop-out, if there was a point where maybe Launch is living somewhere out there and maybe Tien's actual home is living with her. Like, we don't know exactly. She is a character that Toriyama forgot about.
Yeah, and that's what I feel the best part about this is when they can have freedom. I mean, in these Dragon Ball Room stories, because there's only one of them so far, the Reborn as Yamcha series.
I love that series.
Dragon Garo Lee, I'll say it, man. He hit it out of the park with this series. Mm-hmm. And if he's gonna be the one who does the side stories, or if Toritaru's gonna do them, or if they're gonna bring on other, you know, Akira Toriyama copiers. Copiers is a bad word, but imitators. Somebody who's going to actually give life to his series, because it's sad to say, but with all creations, the creator themselves is not eternal living, but the characters are eternal. And I mean, we fight all the time about, like, is Vegeta gonna die or is somebody gonna die? But when you actually get down to the real thing, none of these characters can ever truly die, because I can easily pop in Dragon Ball again and Goku's a child. I mean, there's always a point where you can watch it, and until the Earth is taken out, or until everybody destroys all their DVDs and there's no remnant of Dragon Ball ever, these stories can live thousands of years past us, past these discussions of Dragon Ball that we're doing on this YouTube. Whenever the internet is out of existence, these DVDs or these VHSs or whatever files that are just floating in the web can be picked up, or they can be found and they can be rewatched, and you can gain something out of rewatching them that's just eternal, and you can learn all of these things from this show. There's a lot of memorable things and a lot of spiritual, meditative, there's good workout habits, good eating habits. I mean, there's plenty of morals and lessons that can be learned from this show.
Yeah, For sure.
And going back to seeing them love each other or part ways or whatever, there's so much time lapse that we don't see these characters that they can create something memorable that will last forever. And since it's gonna be somebody else that's not Toriyama, we see other people that are picking up the mantle and picking up where he left off.
Mm-hmm.
A man who admits that he's not that great at writing romance can now have his characters that he originally created have more depth in romance and funniness and things like that because of these other authors that can put their insight on the characters. And as long as he okays it and he kind of, likes it or is happy with it, then I'm happy with it.
Same, yeah.
I don't want Toriyama to be upset with anything that... I don't want him to see his series crash and burn in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to see it expand, and that's something that he does not do, that he is admitted not to be good at. And so if somebody else can fill that out, that's going to be something that makes me happy. I mean, I like anything Dragon Ball, but anything Dragon Ball that makes him happy is going to make me happy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, there's so many possibilities with this Dragon Ball room where, like you said, if there is someone that's part of that is good at writing romance, but can do it in a way that mimics Toriyama's style, but they're just better at, better suited for writing romance stories, then they could put in their 2 cents about it. Maybe someone who wants to explain something that maybe wasn't explained in Z or the original series, they can take their spin on it. There's a lot there, and I know a lot of people are gonna just, brush it off and then just say, well, none of this is canon, so it doesn't matter. But there's a very specific reason for why it's there. Like there's so much potential there.
No, I completely agree, and especially like I don't know if you know this personally, but yesterday they released the 3rd part of Reborn as Yamcha, and the English translation, or the fan translation, whatever you want to call it, because there's no official translation for it, it came out today, so definitely plugging that there will be a part 3 of my manga review coming up soon for that. But that's over now. It was only supposed to be a 3-chapter run. He may do more for the Reborn as Yamcha, because like I said, I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it tomorrow and start doing my review on it. But if it's over, he's got free time, man. All he has to do is watch one of my videos. All he has to do is just take a few of these ideas. That's all I care. I don't care about credit for all that. I'm such a small channel at this point. Like, there's so little amount of people that watch my content that if they watched my content and used a couple things, I'm not upset with that. Anything I can do to give back to this community, because that's what I care about, is actually giving back to the community, interacting with people, things like that. I'm fine with that, man. I don't need to be a glory hog. I don't need my name under it, but I just want to know personally that was the inspiration that they used to, continue the life of this series, and that would make me very happy personally.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so... It is nice thinking that, ideas that we have as a community is sort of like, coming to fruition in some form. Like, we, in a way, we have our Super Saiyan 5 through the means of Super Saiyan Blue. That's sort of carried on that torch of us wanting these new forms and stuff like that. And while these aren't necessarily ideas that we as fans just had, they're very interesting concepts and ideals that they've sort of taken, whether it's for the sake of fan service for Super or whatever the case may be. It's made it a lot more interesting for fans who had a lot of unanswered questions concerning the series and such. And, even after Super ends, this Dragon Ball room is basically going to ensure that Dragon Ball through some form is going to live for a very long time. So, with that being said, I'm just excited to see where it all goes.
No, yeah, most definitely. And then the thing about Super going on, and the thing with Super is that they have definitely brought back a lot of these characters, and they've been trying to dive more in depth into these characters. A lot of people call it fan service, and I don't mean anything rude towards you, because I use the word all the time as well, but I don't feel that it's fan service. What they're doing is they're giving us what we want.
Yeah.
Now, that may sound like the exact definition of fan service, but they are listening to us.
Yeah, there's a difference between just fan service and just giving the fans what they... Like, when I said that word, it was only because, you know, I just figured that's what most people would want to hear, but I agree with you completely. It's not really... It's not fan service if it's done in a different... Like, for example, Goku Black. Many people say that was fan service for giving an evil Goku, but no fan ever said, make it so that a deity from another universe switched bodies with Goku, and they never did it in such a specific and creative way to where Goku Black was done, you know? Like there's a thing of fan service for sure that, you know, after 17 years, there's a level there, sure, but even still, I don't think fan service is the right word. I agree with you, just because there's so much more to it than that. If you're just giving fans what they asked for, that's not fan service, that's just being a good company.
I mean, dude, it's every... Like, you have to think about that, and I guess people don't think about that, they think it's just a story, but, like, Toei makes money, bro. Toei makes billions of dollars off this series. They're gonna do what's popular, and they're gonna steal tropes from other shows, and there's gonna be things, but at the end of the day, they're giving us what we want. They're giving us more Dragon Ball. They could just stop the series, man. I mean, they could live off merchandise forever if they really wanted to, and off video game sales and everything, but they don't. They continue to put out these stories and continue to build all these characters so that we can be happy as fans as well. But I think that's where we're gonna try to like end off the video. On our fan service rant. But I definitely want you guys to check out Rakurai's channel. He does a lot of great content. He just got done with... Did you do the third video for Berserker Week yet?
I still gotta do the third video. I think at this point it's gonna be like Berserker by week rather than Berserker Week, but it's coming. It's coming.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you guys to check out both his channel, and I'm also going to leave the link in the description for you guys to check out his Berserker Week videos, because they've been really interesting, and he thought he was going to get a lot of hate on them, and from what I've seen, it's been mostly the opposite. It's something that he has really been working hard on, and I know he put a lot of time into, and I want you guys to check that out, because hard work is just something that's really hard to find with a lot of people, and it's something that I really value in what I see from Rakurai. So I do want to congratulate you on that, man, and I'm glad that you're getting more positivity than negativity, because I've seen other posts on social media get the total opposite for you.
Yeah, dude, I'm so, you know, I'm happy that you said that, and I appreciate that so much, because, you know, as you said, Twitter is a very dangerous place, you know. It's dangerous to go alone, because there are a lot of people that may just be, like, straight up rude, mostly not people that I follow or anything, but you know, you'll find those random people who you don't even know that you say you like Super and you just get attacked, but I like how, with your community as well that you have in your videos, we both seem to have a pretty good, respectful community that, you know, we aren't constantly at each other's throats, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I definitely...
So, yeah, I thank you for that.
I definitely promote general well-being. I mean, you can have a disagreement with me, and we can hash out things like adults, and still be friends. There's no problem with, you know, having disagreements and still being friends, because some of my best friends that I have on here, I do not agree with everything that they say, but I still appreciate them as people, and they're great friends to me. I mean, the best, and a lot of people are going to say that it's BS, but other than my two friends that I really have in real life, my best friends come from the internet. My best friends come from this community, and the things that we talk about and the things that we love bring us together, and it's something great to me in the medium of YouTube. But before I just go off on a huge tangent about that, I do want you guys to like the video. I want you to subscribe if you're new and if you've made it this far, And I really want you guys to leave your ideas for Tien side stories in the comments below. I also want to hear what other side stories you might want to see. I am also doing 2 videos a week at this time. I'm doing 1 Dokkan video a week at least, and 1 discussion, review, topic kind of thing every week. So I'm really trying to ramp up the production so I can give you guys more of what you want to see from me. But again, I want to thank you guys. I want you guys to enjoy your day, and I'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.